Jim Romer, the week of October 25th, 2021. We are seeing an explosion once again in natural gas prices early on during the week. And the reason is because of some of these factors that influence winter weather. And subscribers to my newsletters will get updated forecast, trading strategies, and how these teleconnections, climatic variables around the world, will influence our winter's weather. First of all, we have weather weirdos, something I coined maybe 20 years ago. Unusual weather events. We'll talk about that. Also, La Nina could be generally a cold winter up north, particularly up in Canada, but occasionally you can see some cold winters further south in the U.S. as well, depending on these other teleconnections. Will there be stratospheric warming? What causes that? Warming aloft around 10 to 15 miles up in the atmosphere. When it happens, it can force the polar vortex south. Climate change, just how strong will the polar vortex be this winter? You could have the stratospheric warming force the vortex south, but if it's not consistently cold over the Arctic, you have occasional bursts of cold weather, but no long-lasting regimes that were like back in the 1970s or early 80s that were extremely cold. The QBO index, very important. Stratospheric winds, are they blowing west to east or east to west aloft? Solar activity, not as important as it was maybe 30 to 50 years ago because of a warming climate, but still has some effect on the stratospheric warming and what happens with the polar vortex. And also the PDO index, Pacific Decadal Oscillation Index, has to do with ocean temperatures in the eastern Pacific off the coast of California and across toward Asia. All these factors are going to result in a lot of volatility and everything from natural gas to grains, things like this. First of all, a weather weirdo, an historic storm. Look at that swirling band there on the left approaching British Columbia and California this week. Second lowest atmospheric pressure on record for the West Coast in over 100 years. The last time that happened was 1962. Look at this. It was a cold winter, blew, particularly November, December, over Western Europe and parts of the Northeast U.S. and Midwest in the blue area. 1962. That's helped the natural gas market rally on early on during the week of October 25th. But what about climate change? Is this a short-term effect? Just one weather weirdo doesn't really mean we're going to have a severely cold winter. What else are we watching? How La Nina develops, right? La Nina can have a big impact on winter weather. Strong winds tend to result in warm weather in the southern and eastern United States. Weaker ones can bring in colder outbreaks, right? The most important thing we want to look at is the NAO index. When it's negative, like it will be the first part of November, that's helped the natural gas market rally early on, during the week of October 25th. You have the cold polar vortex sink south and high pressure over Greenland. But the vortex is not necessarily going to be cold all winter long if climate change offsets the weak solar cycles. Typically during a La Nina event, we do see warm and dry south, wetter and colder up north. That dry weather, we'll be watching it for wheat traders around the world, as we've seen all sorts of problems with wheat crops this past summer in Russia, Canada, and the northern plains. And La Nina could create more drought conditions in parts of the world. One reason why for some clients we've been relatively bullish wheat. The QBO index, that's again stratospheric winds aloft of about 10 to 15 miles. When it's negative, which we presently have, you tend to see cold eastern weather and that upper level vortex sinks south. So you're having more colder suggestions from teleconnections right now than we have warmer ones. I was going for a relatively warm October. We had clients short natural gas for 2 or 3 weeks until these last few days. Other things that we're watching is the Pacific Decadal Oscillation Index, the PDO. What is that? If you look back here on the La Nina map that I have, look up across the coast of California, cool signal off the coast of California and warm further west toward Asia. That's a negative PDO. And when you have that kind of situation, a negative PDO, a negative QBO index, a weak to moderate La Nina, and some stratospheric warming, this is what typically happens in November through December with colder weather in the eastern half of the country. That's a little bit of a change than what we told clients early on in October when we saw a massive break in the natural gas market. Things can change though. What else will influence global weather? You have to stay on top of all this. And once again, we invite you to subscribe to our Weather Wealth newsletter. We give trading strategies all over the world for farmers, natural gas traders, grain traders, soft commodity traders. The less expensive one, that's only about $2.99 a year, which is really inexpensive and cheap considering how these markets move. Climate Intelligence sent out once a month. Please go to my website, bestweatherinc.com, and subscribe, and I'll give you trading strategies and long-range weather forecasts for any commodity around the world. Hope you join us. It's going to be a very exciting winter, and also the South American summer will affect everything from grains to coffee and sugar in the weeks and months ahead. Thank you.